All right. Well, it is great to see you all. This is our first interview with three people since our first interview. Our first interview that we had when we were figuring out formatting and all that, we had three young ladies, three young women. Um, and now we have three people who lived in the same house, at least for a little bit. We have three brothers. We have the brothers Tran. Uh,
The brothers Tran. I love that.
Now, we're going to do things. What we'll do is we'll start off by asking one of you a question at a time, get a little bit of update, what you're doing, um, all of those things. And for today, we're going to make a special point of starting off with the middle brother because it makes sense to start with the older or the younger, but I know as a middle brother, you're probably always second. So we're gonna let you be first right now, Brian.
Oh, thank you, I appreciate it.
So Brian, can you give us a little bit of update of where you are since high school? Where did you go to? Where'd you go to college?
Yeah, so I had a rocky journey during college, I'd say. So I got into UCSD, full ride scholarship. But when I first got into my first year, um, I just didn't. It's very cliche, but I didn't know who I was. You know, I didn't really have any, or I haven't found my passions, my motivation yet. So yeah, after first year, I got kicked out of UCSD. So I had to spend my second year in community college, and that year, spent a lot of time to myself, thinking, reflecting, and just realizing like what I want to do. So I came back the next year, thankfully, and pursued a visual arts major because I realized making videos, editing is my passion, and the type of person I am. Um, I can't work for something if I'm not passionate about it. Like this Healing and Healing series. And yeah, so I finished recently, this past quarter, graduated, and yeah.
All right. So there's a few things in here that I want to kind of emphasize. So first of all, nobody asked you if there were any speed bumps in the way. For you to include that,
That's my story.
it means that that's an important part of your story. It's an important part of your journey that you want to emphasize and you want people to know. And so that says a lot because it talks about your own self acceptance and how and your acceptance of you becoming who you are. And it also means that you're proud of who you are to this day because that's built you. So I think that's really cool. And I think it's also inspirational because there aren't too many times that the journey up is the straight journey. You know what I mean? It's not a ladder.
But that's what I thought it was gonna be like. So yeah, when I like my first year when I like was unmotivated and I just felt like giving up. Honestly, it was like imposter syndrome was definitely there, and yeah, uh, yeah, it was tough.
You know, learning what you actually care about is so important. And I know people way older than you who don't figure that out. They're still trying to figure that out. And the fact that um, were wise enough to make that journey says a whole lot about you. And it probably feels very fresh still. But I'm over 40, and when you're in your 40s, you're gonna look back at the change you made at like 18, 19, and you're gonna say, man, that was such a big deal then. I'm so glad that you did that earlier. You're gonna know people in their late 20s, 30s, 40s that are just starting to make that transition. And it's great that you did that.
Thank you, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And there was a second thing that you said that I think really needs to be emphasized, and we could have interviewed you alone. But Kneeling and Healing would not exist without Brian. Kneeling and Healing would not exist without Brian. I do not have any of the skills of editing. Brian is our Mr. Ramos. I mean, Oscar does not have any of the skills of
None.
none of them. And we don't have the time to figure it out. So the bit of talent that we have as teachers and as presenters works well with this, as long as we have a partnership with Brian and Nina, who work behind the scenes to make the rest of this happen. And so, Brian, do you mind sharing a little bit of the story about how we connected about doing this?
Yeah, for sure. So I started during quarantine, and when the Black Lives Matter movement was, at its peak, I'll say, and the protests were happening, and Mr. Carr, on Facebook, I see Mr. Carr and Mr. Ramos too, being very active, being sharing their voice, which is as a former student, it's like really, really great to see that. It just motivates me to do what I can. And I actually went to Jimmy and Kenny too. We went to the La Mesa protest, and I was like recording stuff, just to have that footage, and I lost them in like 10 minutes. So I was just by myself, just following whoever. Then it became very confrontational with the police, tear gas and all that, and I got like some really raw footage of that, and I made a video of that and showed Mr. Carr, just because I thought he appreciated it, and yeah, after that, like, I forgot, he just hit me up, and you and Mr. Ramos already had an episode out, right?
No. Well, we just had a conversation pretty much.
Yeah.
No editing involved, and I think that's all we had. It just looked like a conversation. It looked like a meeting.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I came to you, and I was like, oh, if you need any help with like editing and stuff like that, I would love to like help and continue like what y'all started. So yeah.
So that's huge because any type of idea, any type of movement, anything that's new, people need to find a way that they can use their skills and talents to be a part of it if they're passionate about it. Everyone, fortunately, we don't all have the same skills and talents, otherwise we'd all be doing the same thing. Yeah. And Brian used his skills to again make this happen, and he was ready, willing, part of that conversation to make this happen. And a lot of people enjoy this, and it would not be what it is without Brian. I mean, you could actually take away me and Oscar and replace us.
No, I don't think so.
Brian is irreplaceable in making
That's true. This is true.
Y'all bring in the viewers though.
I mean, we are handsome.
The star quality.
All right. So I do want to definitely emphasize this. So what are you doing now though, Brian? You just graduated, right?
Yeah. So I'm at the stage where I'm hopeful, but not hopeful at the same time. If that makes sense. So I'm still looking for jobs. Made a LinkedIn finally. Like that whole professional like settings like very like foreign to me still. So I'm still trying to, adapt to that. Yeah, I'm gonna move back home next week, so I'm just gonna try to work on my craft and take on projects and just grow.
So ultimately, you would love to let this passion for video editing, creation, you would love to do that full time. And would you like to work for a larger company? Would you like to start you've already started your own company, is that correct?
Kind of, not really. Um, uh, Eventually, I would want my own company, but for short-term goals, probably work for companies, larger companies, and get steady work, steady money. Yeah.
Okay, the last thing I will say about this is that this is another one, this is the bridge chapter where you can't see what's going to happen next. But when you look back, you'll be like, I don't know what I was worried about. So understand that as you keep pursuing what you're passionate about, like opportunities will continue to open up. You are extremely talented and you're smart, you know how to take direction. Like things are going to open up for you. You do good things, things will open up for you. You just can't see it yet. So that's the only preaching I'll say to you right now.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. And one more. How does a Vietnamese man like you grow that much facial hair?
I get asked that so many times, honestly. I don't know.
It's a good look, man. It's a good look. Yeah.
Thank you. Bald head, beard.
Yeah.
Very simple, very simple.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and move along to Kenny. Kenny, is Kenny short for Kenneth or is it Kenny?
No, it's just Kenny.
All right. So we have Kenny. You were the older brother. Give us a little bit of update about your post-high school life.
Yeah, so I graduated in 2013 from Preuss. When I graduated, I wanted it to be a veterinarian. So my top school is UC Davis, didn't get in. I was heartbroken. I thought that was like the end of the world for me. Ended up going to Cal Poly Pomona. And then after the first year, I realized I didn't want to be a veterinarian anymore. So there goes that dream, right? And I decided I wanted to be a therapist, and started looking up some grad schools. And at that time, moving away from home, after about like 2 years away, I realized I hated this. I hated living away from home while going to school and having to like care for myself, worry about rent and stuff. And so I knew that I wanted to go to grad school in San Diego. And the most affordable option was San Diego State. I saw that they didn't have any prerequisites or required like majors to apply. And so I could have majored in anything. And at that time I was taking an ethics class in philosophy, and I really liked it. And I couldn't transfer my major to psychology because it's one of those impacted majors, I think, hard to get into. And so it's either sociology or philosophy. And I thought to myself, you know, if I just like work really hard, get experience, then that's all that's going to matter. So I'm just going to do something I enjoy right now. So I ended up majoring in philosophy. Spent the next couple years from then on until I applied for grad school, just working in mental health jobs. When I got back to San Diego in 2018, I worked at Fred Finch and Fred Finch Youth Center and San Diego Center for Children. And then I applied in late 2019 for SDSU, the Marriage and Family Therapy Program. And that was the only program I applied to, and I got in. And I think it was like a 15% acceptance rate. And I was one of those. And yeah, that's what I'm doing now. I'm just going to school. I'm in my second year right now. I finished in May, and I'm doing school. I'm in my internship at UPAC, Union of Pan Asian Communities, and I'm still working at Fred Finch Youth Center.
All right. Now, what were you, because fortunately you have updated me along a couple of those stops. And,
yeah.
So I know, but I want our viewers to know, what exactly were you doing like at Fred Finch, San Diego Center and San Diego Center for Children? Like, who were you working with and how were you working with them?
Yeah, so, well, my first mental health job, I was in college. I lived out in Pomona, and I drove all the way out to South Central LA. I don't know if you guys know LA, but that's a drive. Like I spent almost an hour plus in traffic each way. And I just did that to get experience. And in South Central LA, I worked as a ABA. So that's like behavioral therapist. I worked with kids, mostly kids with autism. and I worked in the school system. I was assigned to one client, one kid, and just try to help him implement some of the treatment plans like that the therapists on the team had planned out for them. Once I came back to San Diego, my first full-time job was at Fred Finch Youth Center, and that was at a residential treatment facility. And these kids, they had dual diagnoses, which means they had a developmental disorder and also behavior disorder. And usually try to keep them in treatment and have them graduate within a year. Sometimes it goes up to like 4 years. And then I think like 8 months into there, I got a call from San Diego Center for Children. They saw my resume, and I saw what they did, and I thought it was a better fit for me moving into like a therapist position. When I was there, I was a skills trainer, and we worked with families, and they were referred to us through probation or the child welfare services. And yeah, we just came into their homes. It was a community-based program, and we tried to help them fix whatever they wanted to get fixed in whatever way they wanted to get fixed. Oh no, are you saying something, Mr. Carr? No, okay.
Talking to my daughter.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, but as a skills trainer, I was assigned to the client, which is the child. There was a parent partner who's assigned to the parent, and the therapist kind of like managed everything. And at that point, like I didn't know when I was going to apply to a grad school yet. Before going into that job. I just thought, I didn't know when enough experience was enough. And after working on a team with therapists, I was just so inspired by them and seeing the difference that they made, that I decided it was time for me. So after about like 8 months working there, I started studying for the GRE, and here I am.
For a while, ever since last summer, I've been talking to Mr. Carr about how I've been wanting to interview more young men for this series. You know, typically when we see a lot of social activism, you see a lot of women, you know, especially, you know, I think the idea of caring for other people, the social activism, it just tends to be women. When in the high schools that I've been at, the women are the ones leading all the organizations. So I think it's great to see a lot more men who are stepping into activism in any kind of way, whether it's in your career because you want to help people, or being active. Just, you know, I just kind of wonder if you could talk a little bit about that. You know, do you see that? Do you have those conversations with your other friends, or how you see yourself as a man, you know, stepping out publicly to say, hey, we also need to be here and be active?
Yeah, I mean, it's very prominent to me, like that idea that not a lot of men are social activists or in this type of field, especially because in college I was in a fraternity, and I was the only one who wasn't in a business major or STEM major. And for the longest time, I didn't question it. I just thought this is the way it was. I mean, and I kind of didn't because I didn't question it, I didn't really understand it either. But once I got into this program, I really started to have conversations with people and reflect about what does it mean to be a man, and what values does it mean to be a man, and especially what values does society say a man has to have or has to follow. And for me, I think I just determined it myself. Like I determined what was important for me, and I am a man, you know. And for me, if I stay true to those values, care about other people, fight for what's right, then I think I'm living up to what a man is supposed to be.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kenny. Did you hear what I said, Kenny? Thanks, Kenny.
I remember you making that joke like in high school, but I don't remember the meaning of it.
I had a friend in high school whose name was Kenny, and he was skinny. And so
Oh, yeah.
anytime, so I would sneak in skinny,
Yeah.
so he wouldn't know. Like, so any word ending with an S, like thanks, I'd be like, skinny. And then he'd be like, would you just call me skinny? And you would do the same thing. I'd be like, no, I said, thanks, Kenny.
I think because it doesn't apply to me anymore, that's why I don't get it.
You're Jack. This is the point of what I'm trying to make. Him too. He joined the military, and dude like posts photos on Instagram like yoked. So I think skinny kiddings all become buff. I had to throw that in there. I will speak on behalf of myself and my peer counseling partner and say that when we see that this program that we started and wrote the grant for, when we have students who end up pursuing careers in that field, it is very validating to us. Not that your career should be designed to give us validation, but it is validating because oftentimes mental health is not a field that our mostly immigrant population, first and second generation, feels comfortable being in. And so you are, are you second generation?
First generation, yeah.
First generation Vietnamese man, you are setting the tone. You are defining what it is to be a man and showing that you can be a man and be in this field and help other men to work through some of these things. You've given the experiences you spoke about. I know having you there is irreplaceable for people working through some of these things. Having someone that looks like them or that has shared experiences with them is irreplaceable. So it's great. It's great to see.
I appreciate it. Yeah, because there's a disparity in male mental health providers. Obviously, there's more female, but there isn't a disparity between the people who experience mental health crises. And so I think it's important for there to be males in this field so they can help out people who look like them.
Absolutely.
I'm majoring in sociology, so that's my major, and yeah, that's my major joining into college, so I didn't like switch into it. And yeah, overall, I like that major. I'm